Good morning. This is your CMRU.ca news. I'm Devin Weir.
And I'm Joe Horwood. We begin today with a story about a lot of buzz on campus. Some students are talking about the possibility of instructors going on strike.
The Mount Royal Faculty Association, or MRFA, is currently in negotiations with MRU. As Tanner Hill found out, there's some confusion on campus, but at this point, no strike.
Circulating on social media. A post last week on MRU Sociable's Facebook group has sparked a lot of conversation and a lot of questions. The post asked if it was possible for teachers to go on strike this semester. A slew of comments followed. Some said a strike could happen the week after reading break. Others said that a strike would be unlikely. I went to Main Street to ask students if they've heard about these rumors.
I haven't.
No.
Nothing whatsoever.
Okay, actually,
And those who did only heard a little bit last semester. But one student I talked to had heard about a possible strike. She actually happened to be the one who posted on MRU Sociables.
Yeah, I've actually saw it first on the MRU subreddit. Honestly, I'm kind of freaking out because I'm on my last semester.
Now that you've heard the word on the street, here's the truth of the matter. The Mount Royal Faculty Association, MRFA for short, is currently in negotiations with the Mount Royal Board of Governors. These negotiations have actually been going on for around a year. Right now, job action is not being taken. There is a possibility that there could be a strike this semester, but right now the negotiations just aren't at that point yet. Tanner Hill, CMRU.ca News.
Nominations have closed for the next election of SAMRU's Representative Executive Council. Candidates will be announced next Tuesday. Engaging Mount Royal students in campus politics has been a challenge in the past. Out of close to 11,000 votes, only 658 people made it to the polls last year. The Executive Council hopes to reach students with events such as town halls. Last month, SAMRU held a meeting in Wickham House. President Andrew Nguyen and Vice President of Student Affairs, Shayla Breen, were joined by their Mount Royal administration counterparts, David Doherty and Steve Fitterer. Students asked questions about the school's sexual violence and cannabis policies. The future of the old library space was also on the agenda. But will town halls motivate a disinterested student population out to vote this February? We wanted to bring you an interview this morning with SAMRU's student president, Andrew Nguyen. He didn't show up, saying he had a family emergency. Pollster Janet Brown concedes getting young voters engaged in politics is tough.
I would say that it's probably up to the candidates themselves to build some excitement and momentum around this election. And I think it's important for candidates to really paint a picture of how the outcome of this election could really matter and how, the tone at the university could be very different depending on who gets elected.
Last year, all 4 SAMRU Rec candidates ran without opposition. But even without any other choices, roughly 100 students voted no for each candidate. A candidates debate for the upcoming election takes place in Wickham House on February 26th. Voting for the next Student Executive Council begins on the same day.
The rising cost of textbooks sparked a letter campaign calling for change, and Mount Royal Students Association wants the university and government to make textbook alternatives more easily available. Reporter Alyssa Plossaner has more on how the campaign is gaining momentum. Alyssa, what can you tell us?
The Students Association of Mount Royal University is pushing back against the rising cost of textbooks. SAMRU executive Cordelia Snowden has set in motion a letter campaign. She says that the goal of the campaign is simple: to save students money. The campaign is calling for the use of open educational resources, or OER, in classrooms. Open educational resources are free alternatives to traditional textbooks. Textbooks range between $30 and $300 at Mount Royal University. Hundreds of staff and students took to Main Street to sign the campaign. In just under 2 days, SAMRU collected over 1,000 signatures. Snowden says that the use of OER will benefit both students and faculty at MRU. Snowden says that she remains hopeful about the use of OER in classrooms. However, She says that students can't expect to see changes anytime soon. Snowden says that for now, the most important thing is for students to become aware of the issue.
Thank you, Alyssa.
A Mount Royal University club wants to bring back the basics. Their premise? Quite simple. Simply put, the club offers free dinner and thought-provoking conversation to dinner-goers. Their name is quite literally a simple supper. We have the story.
Here at Mount Royal University, posters fill the walls trying to grab students' attention. Many posters describe the wide variety of activities offered by different clubs. However, the poster for A Simple Supper describes a different approach. Their poster reads, "Free homemade soup, great people, and deep conversations." One of the head organizers of A Simple Supper is Margaret Propp. She explains that the conversations tend to focus on a broad idea.
Today we might pick something like the word romance. And then with that, hopefully it's a general enough word that people can enter into that in lots of different ways.
An important part of the event is the supper, which is offered for free. Propp explains that luckily, A Simple Supper is supported financially by their communities of faith, which allow for the free dinner. YYC Campus Ministry partners with A Simple Supper. Now, despite this partnership and being supported by their faith communities, Propp makes it clear that faith is never pushed onto anyone.
So we don't, we use silence as a way to give gratitude, so people from different faith backgrounds doesn't feel like something's pushed onto them that they're not comfortable with.
The event is primarily for students and has the simple goal of creating a sense of community. Getting to know other people, sharing a meal, and being together are what Propp says really build a connection between people. She says that she is surprised at how meaningful some students find their experience. A Simple Supper is held every Thursday at 6 p.m. in Mount Royal University's Wickham House. Devin Weir, CMRU.ca News. Mount Royal students and staff use Calgary Transit to get to the university every day. Calgary Transit changed their routes that serve the campus, but are Mount Royal students seeing the benefit? We looked into it.
Taylor Jobs has been taking the 306 bus for 10 years. Last year, she started her degree at Mount Royal University. She knew she would have to rely on the bus for affordable transport.
Parking at the school is very expensive. It's like $500 per semester, or you can pay per day, which is more expensive, plus gas cost. So it's like way cheaper to ride the bus.
And I guess for students, affordability is pretty important, right?
Yeah, I'd say.
The bus Taylor relies on is now called the Max Teal. The new route is meant to skip queues and have priority at traffic lights. But Mount Royal students aren't seeing the benefit.
Haven't noticed any skipping of the lines, and it's still the same amount of time spent on the bus.
So you haven't noticed it be any more efficient at all?
No.
It's been 3 months since the launch of the Max Teal. The route upgrades have cost over $300 million. Bus stops are meant to be upgraded with heaters and security features. But the stops at Mount Royal are still under construction. We reached out to Calgary Transit for a statement, but didn't receive a response. In the meantime, Mount Royal students will just have to make do. Joe Horwood, CMRU.ca News.
In other news, a hate letter left at a mosque in Edmonton last week sparked a response from political leaders. The letter contained the logo of the United Conservative Party. The note calls Islam a false religion and does not belong in Alberta. The UCP says they have nothing to do with the hate letter. Ed Amar, the founding chairman of the UCP, says he would not be surprised if the logo was used as a way to defame the Conservative Party. Alberta Premier Rachel Notley says UCP leader Jason Kenney must condemn this kind of hatred and bigotry. The opposition responded saying that it is shameful that the NDP would use this letter to score political points.
A convicted murderer won't be speaking at the Calgary City Teachers Convention next week. Organizers hoped that by sharing Andy Evans' story, future tragedies could be prevented. Greg Jeffrey, president of the Alberta Teachers Association, says this decision was wrong and insensitive. In a statement, Jeffrey apologized to victims of the crime.
Back on campus, the MRU Cougars may not have won the Crowchild Classic on the ice, but as Scott Stimson explains, a recent change to the event might be a win for MRU students.
Comes over to Helgeson. Helgeson walks down with it. Shot, scores! The Crowchild Classic is a can't-miss event for university sports in Calgary. The event is in its 7th year running. The Classic has had problems in the last couple years with people downloading tickets and not coming to the games. Tickets were sold for $5 a piece this year instead of being free. Jaron Mueller is the sports information coordinator for the MRU Cougars. He says the $5 tickets are to keep ticket holders committed to attending.
For the accountability of tickets as well. Previously there's been a lot of downloaded tickets and a lot of come and a lot don't come. So we want to make sure that we have the best possible product as well for people that want to come the week of and it's not sold out when there are still seats available.
About 1,000 more people showed up to this year's event compared to last year's. 11,490 people filled these seats in the Scotiabank Saddledome to take in the rivalry matchup. The money collected from the event isn't for profit. The Flames Foundation, Mount Royal University, and the University of Calgary made the decision to split the money equally between the two schools. The money will be going towards student initiatives at each school. Scott Stimson, CMRU.ca News.
It's a popular summer attraction here in Calgary, but what happens to the zoo in the wintertime?
Our own Micah Bott went to find out the answers.
The Calgary Zoo is home to many different types of animals. One of the main attractions in the winter are the penguins.
I'm privileged to know the penguins pretty well. They're all individuals, they all have unique stories and unique behaviors, and the more time you spend with them, the more you kind of get to know them. So out of the 58 birds we have, I'd say I know them pretty well.
The main attraction that brings people to the Calgary Zoo in the winter is the Penguin Walk.
We do get a number of visitors who start trickling in sort of after 10:30 with anticipation of that 11 o'clock walk. We also do see a little bit more visitation during the Penguin Walk in what can be a little bit of a slower time of year for the zoo. So it's really nice to bring in lots of visitors, remind them that we're still open in the winter and that a lot of animals are more active during the winter. So you can come and see tigers and snow leopards and those other animals enjoying the winter. And the Penguin Walk's a really great ambassador for talking about our winter animals.
So as you can see and you can hear behind me is the king penguins. Sadly, the walk today was canceled just because of weather. The winds were blowing way too much for it to be safe for the king penguins to go out on their daily walk of enrichment for the zoo. But that doesn't mean you can't come see them. Even if the walk gets canceled, you can still come see the 5 different types of species that they have at the zoo. Micah Bott, CMRU.ca News.
And now here's Dayton Abbott with the weather.
Thanks, Joe. Currently, as you guys can see, it is minus 19, wind chill of minus 27, winds coming out of the southwest at about 14 kilometers an hour, and it's pretty chilly out there due to that whole polar vortex. Now we're going to kind of move into the national forecast for all of Canada as a whole. As you guys can see, in Prince George, it is minus 11. Vancouver, it is minus 5, I believe. Down there in Victoria, it is minus 2. Up in Edmonton, as you guys can see, it is minus 35 or minus 29. Sorry. In Calgary is minus 19. Saskatoon is minus 30. Regina is minus 25. Winnipeg sitting at a cool minus 32. Toronto, it is minus 2. Ottawa, minus 4. Montreal sitting at 4. Up in Halifax, we're at minus 1. Charlottetown finishing off at negative 3. And St. John's at minus 6. Now we move into our 3-day forecast. Sitting in on Friday, it is minus 19 with a low of minus 27. Saturday sitting at a high of minus 25 with a low of minus 28. And Sunday sitting at a high of minus 23 with a low of minus 24. That has been your weather. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you, Dayton. Well, at least it looks like we're going to get a little bit of sunshine eventually. That's your CMRU.ca news for today. I'm Joe Horwood.
And I'm Devin Weir. Have a great day.